everybody, Anthony Lowe, the Physio Detective here. I just thought I'd share with you some of the stuff that I've been thinking about just after seeing some ultrasound imaging that Gráinne Donnelly showed me and kindly sent to me. So the idea is to ask the question, what if our ideas about tension in the linea alba and the posterior rectus sheath have been backwards? So again, many thanks to Gráinne Donnelly from Absolute Physio for the use of these videos and pictures. She's given me permission to do this. So thank you very much, Gráinne. These videos are of someone without a diastasis recti. So it's important to note that, and it's only one person, but it just gave me lots of catalyst for thinking about seeing things differently. So Gráinne did take these videos. She kindly shared them to me because I had questions about one of the videos that she showed and she sent me, and you're going to see in this presentation. She's doing a Understanding Tension campaign with Munira Hudani. So check it out on Instagram if you haven't seen it already, because they do great work and I love having discussions with them both. So it's also important to note that these are just my ideas. Gráinne is going to have a look at the video. She's going to come up with her own theories and hypotheses and questions and flesh it all out. And we're going to get to discussing it. But she wanted me to share this as well so that you can join in the discussion and ask your questions and tell us your ideas and challenge anything that I say. So it'd be really cool to hear from you, especially if you use real-time imaging and see diastasis people. So please like, comment, subscribe, follow, all that sort of stuff. Let me know what you think of my ideas, and let's get this discussion going. Let's bounce the ideas around. I'm using the hashtag the Diastasis Project now, and I've got an Instagram account, so I'll start populating that soon because the project is taking off, hopefully in the near future. So this is video one, and you're going to see a pelvic floor cue, and then almost straight away you're going to see the rectus abdominis. And I just want you to watch this. So again, this is Gráinne stuff. So here we go. You can see pelvic floor and then the rectus straight away. And I'm going to talk about some of these things. So resting, pelvic floor, and then that rectus over the top. So that's the video right there. Now, the question that I want to know is, if the pelvic floor contraction is meant to tension across the linea alba via the posterior rectus sheath, why does it still look like an X? It's, the posterior rectus sheath doesn't look like it's pulling very taut. In fact, it looks like it's being pulled like an X shape, and that linea alba is being pulled across the middle evenly from top and bottom, kind of like 4 different pulls, which I found interesting. The other thing that I looked at was that, why does that perineum, that white line at the bottom there, why does that look like it descends so far? Look at that. Now, the thing to note is that that linea alba stays where it is. You can see that it gets taut, but it looks like it gets taut evenly. So that's the same length of line right there. So I find that interesting as well. All right, then this is just a rectus abdominis cue as well. So you're going to watch the video now. So at rest, and then watch this. That's flexing that rectus abdominis. And have a look at how flat that posterior rectus sheath gets. So just again, I'll show you again. Now, if we're going to say that that posterior rectus sheath is super important at putting tension across the whole system, left to right, right to left, well, then we have to look at something like this as contributing towards the good stuff. Because the other way, it contributed tension, but it contributed tension across the front and the back evenly. So if it's meant, like I've been taught that, when you do a rectus abdominis only cue, you get loosening of the linea alba. It deloads it, and the posterior rectus sheath is formed from the transversus abdominis fascia as well as the posterior aspect of the internal oblique. So why does it look like it's actually the posterior rectus sheath flattening out like a shelf and pulling across the bottom there, and then the rectus just bulging on top of it. I think that that's really, really fascinating, and it's kind of the opposite of what we're taught happens. So why is that? So just to compare, when you've got that pelvic floor first and then the rectus abdominis cue, you've got this X sort of shape happening. And then when you've got the rectus only one, you have this flat posterior rectus sheath and linea alba. That's pelvic floor and rectus abdominis. That's rectus abdominis only. Like, why does that posterior sheath look so flat and taut versus here it looks like it's being pulled in all directions? Tell us what you think of this. So then the fourth point is, why does the peritoneum, it doesn't drop very far? Like, I mean, if you look at the distance between the two, you can see just above the TH is where that white line is. Like, it doesn't really drop much. It drops together with the fascia. Whereas if you look all the way back here, this is at rest, and then that's a significant drop right there. So it makes me wonder, are they using a negative pressure strategy? Is there pressure between the rectus and the peritoneum, transversalis fascia? It's really hard to tell. But something, it's just, questions that run around in my head. So what if the rectus abdominis only contraction is lower in intra-abdominal pressure compared to the pelvic floor and rectus abdominis contraction? Like, what if that's the reason why? What if the pelvic floor and rectus abdominis afterwards is actually using that pressure to more evenly spread the tension around the anterior and the posterior rectus sheath? So spreading the load and equalizing the pressure across that linea alba. And so that means that the anterior rectus sheath has more to play than I've been taught, because, people say that the posterior rectus sheath is so important. So what if the rectus abdominis only cued contraction actually works by tensioning the posterior rectus sheath? And that's the reason why I see improvements in people or not. And what if the pelvic floor and rectus abdominis cue, which I also use where appropriate, I prefer to go for the automatic activation in that particular case. What if it works by tensioning the anterior and posterior sheath, but the mechanism by which it does that is not actually the pulling, but by using pressure? By increasing the intra-abdominal pressure, you get a reflex activity of all the different muscles, and that's the way that it works. So, maybe that's why it looks X-shaped. And the linea alba maintains its position, as opposed to tension through the fascia, unless it's coming equally. Now, it's hard to see what the obliques were doing. I wasn't there, and we weren't filming the person and being able to see or change any of the cues. So Gronya's input on this would be really cool. And just to remind you, it's just a stream of my thoughts here from one person, one video. This is how my brain works. So I have seen other images, ultrasound imaging, which is different to this. But this was a really interesting one. And I really thank Gronya again for doing this. And, let me know what you think, and let me know what you've seen as well. Really appreciate it. Thank you.